So let's go into Stats versus Dark PvZ best of 3 from the round of 8. This quarterfinal just took a little longer to get set up, and yeah, kind of nice that the Innovation Hero series was so fast, because while it's a shame that it was fast, it does mean we get into this one nice and quickly as well. So to the bottom right hand side, our red Zerg player is Dark, and he is going up against the blue Protoss to the top left hand side, Stats, representing Splice of course as his team. Splice still arguably one of the scariest teams around at the moment. Stats doing awesome, Solar doing pretty well usually, although again knocked out GSL yesterday, wasn't amazing. And TY of course, so pretty interesting. Do let me know who you're cheering on in the chat as well, guys. Let me know who you're supporting. If you're cheering on Stats, if you're cheering on Dark, maybe you're waiting for Innovation to come back in the semi-finals, let me know. Innovation's on the side of the bracket with Gumiho and Trap, most likely. So those guys are probably going to be playing in the semis. It's going to be Innovation versus either Gumiho or Trap, I would assume, unless Mio Michael makes the run of a century. Like, that would be one hell of a set of upsets. Otherwise, on this side of the bracket is indeed Stats versus Dark, and the winner of this will play against either Rogue or Deer. And I actually just casted Kung Fu Cup number 5 on Tuesday from replays, and last week it was a Dark versus Rogue finals, and game number 2 of Dark versus Rogue was just absolutely insane. So even if we do end up with that ZVZ, I honestly would not be that upset about it, because it was so crazy to see the ZVZ from this event last week. It could be really insane to see it again. So, getting set up and looking to see what's going to happen, of course, in the early stages. PvZ, I generally like to just sort of sit back and be like, you know what, not much happens early game ZVP. And honestly, it isn't right now. You know, we're seeing that Stargate coming down, we expect this, we see the expansions on both sides, even the third hatchery from Dark already. Really no surprises at all to get things properly started. What's up, Zigmatech, coming in with the 2-month resub. Thank you so much for the 2 months. How you doing? Thank you for supporting the channel. Had a lot of 2-month resubs the last couple of days, which is really awesome to see. So I do appreciate that. We did just drop a few frames, guys, so apologies for that, but it looks as though we've stabilized. So again, we cast on Airbnb Wi-Fi, so it's definitely not super stable or the best, but it's good enough to put out the stream for the most part. I mean, I think that's been the biggest hiccup of the day. We've been live a couple hours, so I was saying this yesterday, it's better to have a small 10-second hiccup every 2 hours than no stream at all. Hence the, yeah, if it did become a slideshow for a moment, that's all it is. Oracle on the way out, post Phoenix. Phoenix obviously shut down these overlords in the early stages. There's actually a couple of overlords to be dealt with. Zergs a lot of the time did stop kind of sending a second overlord across the map, because it always just sort of got picked off by Phoenix and it never really gained that much. And we are going to be seeing this overlord in the main base getting taken down. This Phoenix is going to be on the hunt looking for the other overlord. It isn't going to find it yet. It is kind of in a bit of an awkward spot to find. So we'll see if that Phoenix hunts it down in a moment or two. Meanwhile, Spores are on the way up expecting the Oracle follow-up, but there is no Oracle. It's just the... Sorry, there is an Oracle. It's just already finished building. He actually sees that overlord as well with the Oracle, which is really nice. It means he can come down here and get this going. Well, Oracle comes in. We're going to see a couple of workers going down right away, so 2 workers picked off. Nicely done so far by Stats. Meanwhile, we do see a Roachron and a Lair currently on the way up as well from Dark, so getting himself set up in towards that, well, again, Roach-based play. It's something that Dark does like. We saw earlier from Lenok versus Trap. Lenok showed us a bit of a Hydra-based play, he showed us some Roachron-based play. As you do see the Warp Prism finishing up on this Robo, and the Charge upgrade from Stats coming through in the Twilight Council. Temple Archex starting up in the main base now from Stats as well. You see 5 extra gates in total. There's going to be 6 gateways here. So 6 gateways getting set up and ready to go as the Lair and the Evolution Chamber from Dark. Again, all of this just setting up in towards +1 Roach speed. And just, again, the Roaches are allowed to be very defensive. They also allow you to be very aggressive on the counterattacks too early, because you can just build so many of them. Nice block of that Zerg when he just runs on in to shut that down for just a few extra seconds. Stats on 600 minerals when he drops the Nexus, so again, could have been a couple of seconds earlier. Not a massive issue, as we are going to be seeing the things. coming back around the side in towards the centre. Charge still on the way up, being front boosted. It is 6 gateways. It really seems to be kind of the common way of going around things nowadays. We do see 4 High Templar walked in, they actually become the Archons right nice and quickly. With the 6 gates, again, these Archons drop down, 6 Zealots join them. It becomes a very powerful force to kind of attack into the main base with. 6 Roaches out, they are moving in towards the main, which is exactly where the War Prism is headed, so it starts to look okay, and these Archons immediately in the War Prism just going to be backing off. You can see the stats has a lot of money, because he's probably expecting to have to use a Warpin by now. He does get that Warpin down, but it is just at home, so warps in a set of Zealots. Honestly, if he was warping it at home, I wonder if he could have just gotten away with warping in another couple of High Templar and just getting more Archons on the way already. Plus 1 missile attack is about halfway done, so is Roach Speed. As we are going to be having the couple extra Roaches coming in. Group Spread is just kind of pushing out a little bit, out over to the left hand side, out through the centre. A couple of Lings nibbling away at that Nexus, and we are going to see the Oracle popping his Pulsar Beam to push those Lings away. Yeah, more Roaches just on the way out at the moment. Zealots all gathering up to the left hand side. It's interesting because these Archons are still in the Prism. Stats has so much money, he's got so many minerals, so much gas. Like if he could actually just warp in like 8 High Templar right now, that'd be amazing. He actually just warps in more Zealots into the main base. He gets the Queen already, the first Queen at least. There's another Queen here. The Zealots are making short work of that one. The Archons lift up and get away. Meanwhile, the Zealots are running in at the front of the Natural. I just feel like Stats are just running into fights here where obviously he could have so much more. Again, you look at the bank and he's got 400, 1,000. Especially in terms of the gas, he could have had like a second set of Archons over here. The Robo hasn't really been doing much, so you could have even had a second Prism with Archons inside to bring them across the map. That really would have been something. As we do see these couple of Zealots being chased away by these Roaches. Drop into the main base, and Stats has to back away again with those couple of Archons. So Archons backing off here, going to drop on towards the 4th base. I do just feel like Stats, I mean, he still has the gas, right? So he can still use it now. I mean, you can start investing into second Robo, double, Immortal production. He can just build pure Archon at this stage, but imagine you had that gas spent for that fight just now. I actually think it's too late, because he's still got 1,000 gas in the bank as these Road Galaxy comes up the ramp. Of course, the Bowser is going to get rid of these Force Fields, and that's going to give him access up here. And well, there's only one Immortal, so it looks as though Dark is just going to be having way too much stats. I don't even know what to tell you in terms of what went wrong here, because I don't know if anything went wrong as much as Stats just sort of messed this up. Well, these Queens are actually attacking the lair rather than the War Prism, so that's a little bit of a mistake on that side. Ravager's going back and forth over here. These Queens are still killing the lair. The Roaches in the back of the 3rd base, but again, Stats is in so much trouble now. Love those corrosive bars on top of the Warped in Zealots. It is GG, and Dark is going to take game 1 of the series. But we'll just sort of roll with what we get. As for now, we go into game number 2. We start to the top left hand side with our red Zerg player. This is Dark. Bottom right, our blue Protoss from Splice is Stats. I mean, when it comes to what does Stats change up, I don't even know if he needs to change anything up as much as just execute the build a bit better. Again, like, you just shouldn't be floating that many resources, and especially if you commit to that large an attack. Imagine that attack if he has like 4 more Archons in there, which is totally affordable. Obviously he has a few less Zealots, like 8 less Zealots, but is the 4 more Archons going to do not just do way more? I mean, I personally think so. I mean, also Dark had the Roach setup, right? And so with Roaches, you generally are that much safer against those sort of, you know, aggressive attack compositions. You're much safer than you would expect to be, so it works out quite nicely as we are going to be seeing this probe scouting around in the main base looking to see what's going on. It's just hatch gas pool for the moment, and back at home, gate Nexus core. Both players opening with a very standard way over the next few moments. PvZ really is in this very well figured out sort of stage, I would say, where, you know, between the kind of the 5-ish different builds and ways the game goes, we see it pretty much consistently. which really is a pretty good kind of way of saying the game's pretty well figured out, or the matchup is. I'm really intrigued to see what the next sort of switch up is in PvZ. Like, what is the next new thing? Because, you know, we've been seeing this kind of charged on a model Archon style for a long time, and, you know, Resonating Glaives made a reappearance for a little bit, but, you know, you can even see today it's kind of fallen out of fashion again already, because Zergs are opened up with roaches more often again. So I wonder if we just go back in towards that kind of, again, more Hydra focused play, because again, while we saw some Hydras earlier, a lot of players are opening roaches nowadays, and so create some interesting scenarios. There's a Twilight Council first from stats. I think we are going to see a change up. This already looks as though it's probably going to be Resonating Glaives rather than anything else, because Twilight before Robo, it just sort of allows you to do that. We'll keep our eyes on this. It could be the Dark Shrine as well. If we see the Robo facility coming down in the next 10 seconds or so, then Dark Shrine is definitely a possibility too. And there is the Robo facility, so actually it looks as though it's just going to be a Dark Shrine. It's going to be an Archon drop, but in a bit of a different way. And the DTs coming up initially, obviously there's that potential of getting a little bit more done. The issue is this Overlord comes in, it already scouts the fact that this Twilight Council is up. And so with a Twilight Council already up, that's obviously, well, a little bit of a decent scout to tell there's potentially going to be a Dark Shrine coming through here. You didn't see the Robo though. The Robo was at the front, so, well, he sees it now. So you see the Twilight and the Robo. And I think generally here as Dark, you kind of have a very good read on the fact that this is going to be some Dark Templars. So he already has the lair starting up again. That's something which is going to keep him very safe against those DTs. You can see the Evolution Chamber coming down. I mean, we talked about the lair, but the Roach Warren too. So he's setting up the same sort of way as he did in the last game. He's got Roach Warren, Evo, lair. He's going to have the potential to go Roach Speed. He's going to have the potential to go +1 as well. A lot of possibilities here actually, as we do set this up. Sean TF22 is actually just asking in the chat, what's the reason for the probe to kind of go between mineral patches here, you know, on the kind of Zerg space? So what he does is, imagine the probe mines this bit mineral patch here, it stops this drone from starting to mine it, so it makes that drone run elsewhere, but you don't want to keep mining it, because once the probe has minerals in its mouth, it can't actually mine from another mineral patch and cause drones to relocate once again. So that's one of the reasons. And yeah, hopefully that's a nice little explanation. Sorry, we're on a minute delay, so I couldn't into this one too much sooner. Anyways, I do see a couple of Archons coming in on over to the left hand side. Roach Speed coming up now from Dark as well. A few Roaches on the way out. Spore Crawler still coming up in the mineral lines as well. I mean, the DT is just morphed straight into Archons. Don't really need detection all too much, and we are going to be seeing these couple of Archons coming around here to see if they can get something done. So far the answer is no though. Roach is on the way up, and again it's a very standard sort of setup here from Dark. As we are going to be seeing Nexus has been thrown down from Stats on the third base, so he goes straight in towards this. Again, definitely changing up his style from the last game. Even though it's an Archon drop, it's done in such a different manner that it really sets Stats up differently, you know. He's really doesn't have as many gateways. He actually opts in full WardiTV, so he's actually gone double Prism here. He's actually going to go for the double Archon drop, and when I say that, I mean like the double-double, because obviously there's already double Archon drop, because there's 2 Archons in the Prism. And there's going to be 4 Archons, and if he can micro this well enough, this can be extremely difficult for Dark to defend here. So let's see how well Stats can do. As the second Raw Prism starts to fly in on the right-hand side, it's going to go straight towards the third base, where honestly there's a lot of Roaches, there's a Spore Crawler, and that second Prism just gets denied instantly here. Meanwhile, these 2 Archons, they do find themselves a Queen in the back of the Natural. So while the second Prism didn't do a lot, he still managed to get a Queen on the Natural instead. And a couple of drones going down too. I mean, the thing I kind of think about here though for Dark is that he's just got so many Roaches. Can he do something with that? I mean, as these Archons are still across the map, the answer is probably no. He is sending quite a few Roaches down to the third base though, and in fairness, right now there isn't a lot over here. 2 Sentries, 1 Immortal, second Immortal about to pop, but there's nothing in position either, and I think that's one of the bigger issues too. Dark is going to want to commit to that there, I think. I don't think you want to pull away from this just now. Still has the 4 Archons across the map, and I like that a few Roaches kind of pull ahead of the rest to try and just see this army coming towards them, just see what is going on. So you've seen these Roaches around just kind of fighting away, a couple of forces coming down. We are going to see 1 Zard picked off, 2nd Zard also going to go down here. I'm just going to see that Nexus is taking quite a bit of damage, so keep going down too. I'm just going to see the Immortals now going to get picked away at as well. So, over Immortals 4, and I feel like Stats is in a lot of trouble. These Archons, yes, they're doing damage. Dark is down to 35 workers. Does that matter? As Corrosive Vials actually get rid of a DT here. Oh man, he's going to kill the pylon power in one of the robo facilities. The other robo though is actually going to get another more life. The contaminate is so clutch here, and that actually might buy him the time he needs to get rid of this other pylon and stop the next immortal coming out, which honestly, in a situation like this, it could have made the difference, especially because Dark, it's not like Dark is not taking any damage back at home. He is taking damage, he is losing units, so he needs to stop anything from coming out here if he can. I think Dark's going to make this work, but my god, that contaminate was absolutely clutch. Probes are going to recall away. I mean, Stats are going to try and keep himself alive. This is going to be GG. It's not going to work. Dark takes game number 2. He takes the series.